I talked to Dan. He told me that this guy stole something from the dev team. Why do you have him on your team? Like, why is he there? Like, if you know for a fact that he stole, why is he there? And his response to me was basically, okay, if I know this guy can steal from me, but I can pay him to help me keep my stuff secure, why wouldn't I do that?
Imagine me pulling Valid into a TeamSpeak and then trying to explain to him like all this stuff that happened to AWOL. I basically was like telling you, you should not be playing this. You should be boycotting it, basically. If I really thought that if I just laid out the facts as I knew them, that there was no way you're going to disagree with me. And I was so surprised when your reaction to it was essentially, to me, 2014 me, mind you, was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm out of here. I just want to play the game.
I didn't mean for anyone to get upset about the whole situation, you know? And so why lose whom I consider a friend over something like that?
You've been listening to my friend Valid, and this is the Emotive Podcast. I'm your host, Dan. And when I call people friends in the intro, I don't really use that word lightly. A friend to me is somebody who I've connected with, and there's a level of trust there. But sometimes that trust is hard. That trust comes with a little bit of trials and tribulations. Sometimes you make mistakes, and in the past, I've definitely made mistakes, believe it or not. But when you have a chance at redemption, a chance to get to know somebody who you've really just not had a chance to do that, and in this instance, the one time where I did have a one-on-one interaction, it went poorly. Well, this was my chance. You know, it's happened a long time ago, but I always had it in the back of my mind that one of these days I needed to get with Valid and really squash the beef, clear the air, and just give him a good apology, because I feel like he deserved that. He definitely didn't deserve what I put him through that day. Yeah, I mean, other than that, you know, Valid, we get to talking about his time streaming on Twitch, his ups and downs, and his aspirations for the future. We had a lot more in common than I expected, and I was really glad to be able to talk to him in this format. You know, one-on-one podcasts there's just something about it. There's something that you haven't, it'll feel like this was the thing that was missing from your life. You know, we don't get to have these one-on-one conversations a lot unless you have friends that you see in real life and you make the effort to just sit down with them and talk. I'm just glad to have the opportunity to do it. I want to thank everybody for listening. If you want to support the show, share it with your friends, rate us on iTunes and other platforms, and of course, subscribe. You can find all relevant links on our website, pod.co/emotive. And now, here's my conversation with someone who I'm glad to call a friend, Valid Point. Welcome to the podcast, Valid. It's nice to talk to you. It's been a long time.
It has been, Dan. It's thank you for having me.
Of course, yeah. Well, Grant mentioned you on Twitter. I put out a little message trying to get some interest, see if people who would want to be on the show possibly, or people to mention others, and you were the one that he mentioned. So, yeah. And then you were like, "Let's do it." What was the reason why you were interested? Was it just like you wanted to catch up?
Definitely, I wanted to catch up. You and I haven't really, I mean, we've talked once in a while on Steam here and there.
Yeah. I don't think that we've ever really gotten to know each other. We've played games a few times. I remember back, we played like in the Arma 3 days. There were some times there. We definitely played, in Arma 2, actually.
Yep.
Arma 2, we're playing Epoch. I remember the video. There's a video, which I might link just to show people that one.
Oh, God. You're not talking about that.
Look me in the abs.
Oh, my God. That's
that one. Yeah.
Such an embarrassing video.
Whenever we play with Adam, which Adamfellow, another person who I've had on the show here, I intentionally do things to either get Adam to laugh or to embarrass him. So you were just kind of collateral damage, and you were kind of like this meme in Adam's stream anyway, right? You were kind of
Yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah. He's the
it's
one
all,
who essentially came up with the whole blame valid thing to begin with. So like,
and that was, yeah, that was just the ongoing meme with you, and it's actually was kind of like your profile image for Twitch too.
but it
You
still
kind
is actually.
you just kind of leaned into that one.
Hey man, I mean, it's it was this whole thing, and as soon as like Adam started it, a lot of other people sort of grabbed onto it, and it just became a thing. And it was like, all right, I mean, why not? Why not just
Did
run
you
with it?
did you ever have that in school where somebody would kind of like make a joke about you, and then you either like laugh with them, or you like get embarrassed?
Actually, when I was in school, my I was the one who would make the nicknames for everyone else. Like that.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
nobody ever retaliated.
I
You
mean,
were kind of,
of course, they
yeah.
retaliated, but like
It didn't.
none of those names ever stuck. You know,
They,
like
they had to come up with some better names.
exactly. It was more
Yeah.
like I would make fun of them. Like we had this one guy, I can't remember his last name, but it sounded like Hot Lips, so I made the nickname Hot Lips, and it stuck. And everyone on the team
Oh,
called this
it's
kid Hot Lips for the longest time.
that's way too catchy.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. But no, I
Oh
mean,
God.
it actually, that sort of conversation reminds me about how Grant got his nickname. I came up with his nickname and it stuck. And I can't tell you how many streamers used the nickname that I came up with for Grant. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Wait, what nickname were we talking about? Grandsta? Or are we talking about something
No.
else?
We're talking about
What is
Spoon.
this? Oh,
Spoon
Spoon.
Spoon.
Yeah, what is that? I don't understand that one.
You don't understand that one? You don't? Okay.
No.
I was streaming and I was like right in the middle of a stream. Grant at the time got a little bit out of hand in chat, like he likes to banter, he likes to go back and forth, and he got a little out of hand and he was messing with somebody in my chat, and I was just like, you know what? Let's make fun of Grant a little bit. So I made up this little story, and it goes something like this. Basically, Grant, when he was a young child, was a child actor, and he was in this movie that was somewhat famous in America called The Matrix. And
Okay.
in
Okay, now I
the
get it. Yeah.
in the Matrix,
Oh boy.
there's
I know that.
this yeah, okay. There's a scene in the Matrix where Neo goes to the Oracle, and he's waiting to talk to the Oracle, and he meets this young, bald British kid who's also wearing monk's clothing. It's this whole scene where he's like bending the spoon with his mind,
Yeah.
and Neo's like, oh, like looking at him, how do I do this? And da da da. And he hands him the spoon. He says, just remember, there is no spoon. Yeah, it's not your mind that bends. There is no spoon. And it's like, okay. Anyway, so I basically told everybody that he was that child actor. People actually believed it. I'm not kidding. Like, people really believed it. And it became a thing to where, like, I would just be lurking in another stream, and Grant would come in, and people would be like, hey, Spoon. I mean, it just kind of blew up.
I can think of worse names, and I definitely like it, as soon as you said Matrix and Spoon, like I already knew what you were talking about. I like
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's good. So yeah, man, but how did you find yourself within kind of the group of friends that are around now? Like basically the Adamfellow Discord, all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it start?
The first person I actually met was Calendar.
Oh, right. Okay.
I sort of got acclimated to the community once I started playing the Arma 2 version of DayZ, and I had no idea what Twitch was at the time. And I came across the link to one of Calendar's videos, and I watched it, and I was like, okay, what's this? It looked like fun. I found Twitch, and I started getting into Twitch, and once I sort of got my foot in the door there, it just sort of took off. Like I met person after person after person. You know what I mean?
Did you like kind of try to find a group to play with? Is that how you end up getting to know people better?
It was more along the lines of I wanted to play by myself, but I wanted to also interact with people. Like I didn't
Okay.
really team up a lot then, and
Mm,
what I did was lurk a lot in different channels. Like Calendar would link different channels. I'd look at different channels, and I started to interact with people. And pretty much everybody that interacted with him were blacklisters, or they were somewhat associated with blacklisters, and it just kind of kept going on from there. And
mm,
you
mm,
know, kind of a snowball effect, I guess. Like I met,
sure.
you know, I mean, Adamfellow of Honest. I mean, the list goes on and on and
Of
on. I met
honor.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's different types of players that, get into playing DayZ mod. There was like, solo bandits, there's solo heroes, there was people who played in squads, there's, all different types. And you were kind of just like a solo bandit, it sounds like.
It would depend on the mod. If I was
Okay.
playing Epoch, I would team up. If I was
Mm.
playing, I think it was called Overwatch, I would not team up.
Yeah, there's that in that mod, it's kind of tough. That one was just like heavily militarized, lots of weapons everywhere, vehicles. It's like a death match, pretty much.
Exactly. That's what it was, and that's what was fun about it. But Epoch, you kind of need your buddies. So
That's what it was designed for, you know?
yeah,
Like you could be a bandit, but you'd probably die a lot, you know?
definitely.
Uh, so where did like the urge to like start streaming yourself? Like where did that inspiration come from?
Essentially, I was sort of berated into it.
Oh, okay.
I started interacting in a whole bunch of people's streams, and most of them were blacklisters at the time, and I got modded pretty much everywhere I went, and so people knew me from there. And the question I would get all the time, literally every day, was, "Do you stream? Why don't you stream? You should stream."
Uh,
And it was like, I mean, I didn't really want to, but then like eventually it was like, wait, why can't I do that? Like, I mean, I'm already playing the game. Why not just record it and see what happens? And
hmm.
I got browbeaten until I finally said, fine, I'll just stream.
Well, what were some things that you learned in those early days, or were your first day? Did the first days of streaming, was it like encouraging for you, or discouraging? Would you say?
I would say the first days of me streaming were very encouraging. I already had people in my stream on day one, and
Mm.
they
Familiar faces, people from other chats
yeah,
and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. They saw that I was live and they're like, "Hey, wow, you're streaming." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing." And people would show up and my chat immediately had, some kind of interaction going on.
Yeah.
I remember the first game I streamed was like an Assassin's Creed game. It wasn't
Oh
even
wow, it wasn't even
yeah,
DayZ.
no,
Wow.
it wasn't even DayZ, but I had people in there.
I'm sure the people were curious to like hear your voice, and like I don't know, did you have like a webcam? Like what was your setup like back then? Was it just like
Oh,
throw the game capture up and go live?
when I first started, it was throw the game capture up and go live. Yeah. I waited probably 2-3 months before I turned on the webcam.
Mm.
Yeah, I was a little bit honestly shy about that at first. Like I was just, it's not. I know I'm a decent looking guy, but like it's just I didn't want to mess with it. Like I didn't
I
want to
know I'm a
change
decent
it.
looking guy. No, I'm just kidding. It's funny.
uh,
No, it's good to have confidence, man. That's good. But like obviously the first couple of months, it must have been something to where you're like, okay, I want to kind of improve on this, iterate on it, so I can like keep doing this for a while. Some people will just kind of throw the stream up bare minimum. Like you wanted to put some effort into it and kind of like grow because you were starting to see some progress, I'm assuming.
Actually, the reason I got the webcam eventually was because of Honest. One day we were playing and she started bitching about how I didn't have a webcam and nobody knew what I looked like. And
Oh, I
it
love
was like,
Ivana's.
oh, everybody loves Ivana. She's such a great gal. But it was like she ripped on me for 5 minutes for not having a webcam, and then I pointed out to her that she didn't have a webcam. So anyway, I just decided that day, you know what, screw it. Why not just put it up? Like,
Yeah,
if you're gonna
yeah,
make
man.
fun of me for the way I look, then I don't really care because I know
Uh,
I'm not a bad looking guy. So
I don't see you as getting bothered that much by people's insults. You were like the guy who gave the insults, but it seems like you can take it as much as you can give it.
I mean, I feel if you're going to do banter, you should be able to have a little bit of a thick skin, you know, like,
Okay.
yeah, you got to be able to bounce off one another. It's
Yeah.
kind of why Grant and I work so well together. We just, you know, like every now and then one of us will go a little bit too far and we'll get pissed off or whatever. But for the most part, like, I don't care if you insult me because I probably got a better one for you, you know?
There you go. And honestly, man, like if it wasn't for kind of getting introduced to you through Adam, I don't know if you're the type of person that I would get a super nice first impression from. I get a little bit defensive, and that's just a personality trait of mine. I get a little bit defensive. I don't have as thick of a skin. I like to think that I do. I pretend that I do, but I don't think that I like. It's something I have to keep developing. Like I'm a grown ass man. I shouldn't be like that. But yeah, I like if I was to meet you, boy, in person's way different. But you know, online, you do make assumptions about people. So I mean, there's definitely a chance that like I would have wrote you off as like a troll or like, oh, that guy is just a little fucking sarcastic piece of shit or something. I mean, it's a good thing that we did meet the way that we did anyway.
Yeah, why don't you remind, like when did we like really first meet? Because I
Oh,
know.
sure. Yeah. That's a good question. I would say that it had to have been like when we actually spoke would have to have been when we grouped up and played Epoch together, I would guess.
Ah, yes, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it would that would have to be it unless there was some I mean, my memory is just like I was going through it today and trying to remember like I just remember the times when we kind of built bases together on in Epoch on whatever Mel's house or something, and we had a pretty good group. It was fun. It was fun, and there was a lot of banter that went back and forth for sure.
Oh, that was a really good time. Plus, I got to accidentally kill a creepy ambulance guy like 4 times in about a week, and he was really upset about it.
Oh,
I remember
man.
that.
Oh man.
It was totally accidental.
Oh,
Just saying.
oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I actually have some highlights from that.
Yeah, do
Oh
you?
no. Yeah, now I remember one on like an airfield. I just remember when you say sorry, it doesn't always sound like you mean it.
I'm sorry. What do you mean?
It's just that you don't take things as seriously as other people. So
Yeah.
you're not like matching the level of you like your sorry isn't matching the level of like just like anger that they're feeling. It would all
I'm
it all
just sort
it
of
would almost be,
sorry.
oh my god. It is what it is, man. I mean, don't change. Yeah, so we had some good times there, and I guess
Mhm.
there was a certain time period where Daisy Mod was kind of branching off into all these different paths, and there was different mods coming out, and Arma 3 is on the horizon.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the end days of Arma 2, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was like Daisy Battle Royale and stuff like that came out, and a lot of people got interested in that. I don't remember if you were somebody who like streamed that or got into that at that time.
My streaming, let's call it a career in quote marks, started basically at the end of the Daisy to the beginning
Okay.
of Arma 3 BR. That's sort of where, yeah.
2013, 2014, somewhere around there.
Yeah, right around
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Adam started before 2013, so
He did actually.
was he there in 2012 too?
He was. He
Okay.
and I used to frequent his stream, and he and I streamed together a couple of. Well, I wasn't streaming at the time. I just played with him on stream. Like we did a couple of streams together. In fact, you reminded me of a story really early on where Adam basically was having some financial difficulties and stuff, and I decided to get everyone I could from the community to sort of mess with him for an entire night, like while he was streaming. The idea was, fundraiser essentially. So I got Calendel and Tack Impulse and CJ and like everyone I could find, and we spent the entire night just totally screwing with him. Like he couldn't go anywhere without any of us showing up and going, messing with him, not killing him, just messing with him. And he ended up getting a couple $100 a donation because at the time, he didn't have enough money to pay his internet bill. So he was going to be down for a couple of weeks. So we got that taken care of. And it ended up being a really good night. Actually,
Nice.
We had a lot of fun. Yeah. Adam killed me twice.
Yeah. That's great, man. I wish I would have been around. I don't know if that was when that was. So many of these stories I need to be reminded of.
Yeah.
So Arma 3 comes around. This is like 2013, 2014.
Yep.
There was not really a whole lot of mods available at the beginning. We'll get into a story kind of about Epoch and the mod that I was involved in a minute here, but I wanted to see like what you have your stream that you started sometime around that kind of transition period.
Yep.
Because a lot of people were jumping ship, like they wanted to see what Arma 3 had to offer. So what was that like for you? Like what?
Like the transition from Arma 2 to Arma 3?
What did you play? What did you stream? Like what like caught your interest around that time?
I liked the original version of Arma 3 just as a basic game to begin with, but what I was really looking forward to was the VR version of it. And the other modded versions, I was hoping that there would eventually be a real like DayZ version of it.
Okay.
But there never really ended up being one. There was one that was, what was the name of it?
Zombies?
No, it had its own
like Breaking Point.
Breaking Point. There you go.
Yeah.
And then that was as close as it got.
The thing about Arma 3 was that was different is that the mod creators could not use assets from Arma 2. So everything that they made had to be, they had to get creative and they had to create things on their own. They couldn't just port in stuff from Arma 2. Otherwise, there would have been like a legitimate, like, there would have been just like all the Arma 2 content would have been ported over right away. And there would have been they would have just had a hack together DayZ clone right away, which there kind of was, but it was not authorized.
Right. No,
I get that Zombies thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't signed off on by Bohemia, that's for sure. But yeah, I would probably have to agree to I would say that like as far as like full conversion mods for sure that had to have been the closest to. I mean, but it's like there never really was anything.
There really wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, Breaking Point, Arma 3 just never felt like Arma 2. So people expecting it to be what it was before, it just wasn't going to happen. Even like Arma 3 Wasteland doesn't feel anything like Arma 2 Wasteland. I was kind of big into Arma 2 Wasteland, and yeah, it's not the same. They're two completely different things, which is okay, but just the older version felt superior when it came to Wasteland.
It definitely did. It felt superior when it came to Wasteland. It felt superior when it came to, let's call it a DayZ type mod like Breaking Point. Like it just never got close to that level. On the other hand, the BR version of Arma 3, in my opinion, was by far superior. I mean, and it took a while to get there because it's a mod. So, you're going to have nightmare code issues for a while. I mean, I remember a time where you couldn't drive a car unless you wanted to, bug out across the entire map. And I mean, that was kind of annoying, but that's sort of how mods are created in the first place. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, Arma 3 was an alpha to begin with,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of growing pains when it came to that, but that was kind of like the direction that you were going with your stream. You really got into playing BR at that time.
Yeah, Arma 3 BR was really sort of my go-to. I mean,
was it because there was a lack of other games to play, or was that something that you just kind of latched onto?
I mean, I kind of latched onto it because, for one, it was a game that I was actually pretty decent at. Like, it was a game that I could stream and interact with chat and win. I mean, it was like, this is kind of the perfect trifecta for me. Plus, pretty early into the Arma 3 BR scene, I got whitelisted for Spectator.
Right.
And I remember being in the BR TeamSpeak And I'm sitting there with Halifax, and we're just chatting back and forth, and we're both excited because we got invited to be whitelisted as spectators. And so I made it sort of a thing where if I got a game started and I was in the game and streaming, I would spectate the rest of the game and comment on the rest of the game. And I ended up really, really liking it. Like, I ended up really enjoying just being able to talk about everyone's positioning, their gear, who I thought was going to pull this out, blah, 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 you know, being essentially a caster, but, you know, there's nothing at stake. It's not like esports or anything like that. I
No.
just enjoyed talking about it and seeing it. And that's kind of what made it work for me.
Cool, man. Yeah, that was something that I enjoyed too. I did it in Arma 2, that when it was Daisy Battle Royale. I had been one of the people who tested it very early on with Player Unknown. Actually, I had hopped in on, there was a play test going on with, I don't like doing the name drop thing unless
Let's
I know
not
the
do
person.
the name drop thing. Yeah.
I'm not going to do the name drop. I'm just going to say it was a very popular YouTuber.
Okay.
That not the most popular one, but a very popular one.
Yeah.
And they're going in there and they do a lot of Arma content. They were doing a YouTube video and I really I got triggered, I should say,
Really?
because we were in there to test and this guy comes in with a bunch of people who must be like either fans or people that just kind of play roles in his videos. And he was ordering everybody around on what they should do.
Oh my
And
God.
I just wanted to play. And I just left. I'm like, I'm here to test. And I was in that mode because I was helping with Epoch Mod and I was learning how to be a good tester and like report bugs and stuff like that. And I'm like, we need to play this like as intended and like we'll report bugs after. We can have fun, that's fine.
Yeah.
But being ordered around, I was like, I am not down with this.
Right.
I know who you are. I didn't say, but I never said anything outwardly about it. I didn't. It was whatever. And that guy came sniffing around Epoch too and made a video and kind of was doing the same thing with us, but it was a different deal because he was showcasing the mod and it was just us like spawning in items and showing him stuff. So I was like, this guy does this to everybody. It looks
yeah,
like.
no, I'm pretty sure I know exactly who you're talking about, actually.
And it's fine. He's probably not a bad guy. He just has his motives. He wants to get his content.
Yeah.
But in that situation, I was like, screw this. But whatever, that unnecessary side story aside, I did enjoy that. I enjoyed having the ability to, at that time, we pretty much were able to hop in like an empty server and make it like a viewer game. And that was pretty powerful to be able to basically have a server everyone can join in. Or, well, really, it was just like find an empty server. And then we had spectate powers on any of them. Join the game, play until you die, because I didn't win a lot. And then I'd spectate, and then we get like cool little highlights from viewers in the stream and everybody. Like, I was really into that play with viewers thing back then. It was really cool. And Battle Royale was kind of like this automated way of doing it, which made it easier on everybody.
Yeah.
And
the fact that they didn't have respawns was a real big deal. And
yeah,
the fact that if you were whitelisted, you could just sort of do whatever you wanted with it as long as you were following the rules. But that was also a double-edged sword for me, at least. I don't know about if it was for you, because
what rules are you talking about?
Well, because like it meant that if I wasn't streaming, I was like really nervous about even staying in a game after the fact. Like, I didn't ever want to be accused
of like ghosting or something.
Exactly. I never wanted to be accused of that. So anytime like I died, I would always get out of the game immediately. And
I guess that never really came to mind. I don't know if I played a lot when I wasn't streaming, but yeah, that's a good point. For me, my interest really kind of died for BR right there. And
like early on or kind of midway through or what?
After Arma 2.
Oh, okay.
And this is probably where I should get into. One of the main reasons why I was motivated to talk to you was to mention this specific event.
Yep. I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. And so everybody knows, I discussed it with Valid off stream, whether we could talk about it or not. I mean, it is what it is. This is an edited podcast. It's not like it's such ancient history at this point that it's silly that it never was mentioned before between us. I think it's just a consequence of I never got to know you, and one of the only times we ever talked one-on-one was this story, and I really just kind of killed any chance of like ever getting to know you until now, probably. Just because so much time has passed.
Okay.
I'm going to give some context for the story, and I want people to know that this is only for context, and it's ancient history, and it's not meant to drag up any drama from back then. And I'm just going to generalize because it doesn't matter at this point. Like everything doesn't matter, but people will maybe get to hear my side of it.
Yeah.
Which I was the one who initiated the contact. So in 2014, Epoch Mod was set to be released in alpha form. There was a lot of hype around it. There wasn't a lot of mods that were released in general, anything with any sort of significance. And everybody was super hype about Epoch because of the DayZ Epoch, which is very popular, and people had these expectations of it being a sequel to that. And there was a time period where I got partnered on Twitch because of the whitelist keys, basically. I had been testing with the team. I was basically like a play tester, and I would do educational videos. I helped with the wiki, stuff like that. And it was cool to see the behind the scenes aspects of the mod. So basically that was my role. That was my relationship with the team. I'm still friends with everybody that's still working on the people from back then to now. I don't know everybody so closely now, but anyway, that's my relationship with them. And at the time, I was doing multiple things. I was educating people about the new mod. I was giving away whitelist keys on the stream, and that boosted my viewership up a lot for like a couple of weeks. I got partnered, but there was a lot of drama going on behind the scenes for sure.
Oh, there was a ton of drama.
There was a lot of hunger from people who wanted to play the game, stream it, just get in on the action. And also like server owners were like hungry to like get servers up for it, because there was like a business involved with that. Like people wanted to get their servers up so they could monetize them, and other people just really wanted to have it for their communities too. I think that's fair to say.
There was definitely a demand at the time for
a high demand, and the developers are just guys. They're not really. I mean, they were sponsored by server companies, but I don't really know. It's not really my place to say where they had referral links. They're making money off that. I know that AWOL is pretty much just AWOL is the creator of Epoch Mod, pretty much just making money off of like banner ads on the website itself.
Yeah.
Which would pay for the crazy upkeep on the server. And when they were at a time even hosting the files for the mod, which cost a lot in bandwidth too.
Yeah,
so it wasn't like this big cash cow or anything. That wasn't really the point of it. The point of we had these whitelisted servers really to control the flow of the mod to the players, so we could get focused feedback, and it wouldn't just be like spread like a virus all the way across all these other server providers where they have the ability to add extra little scripts and things to the mod to where it breaks, and then people come back and say, oh, this isn't working and this isn't working. Okay, were you playing vanilla? And they're like, no, like that's the thing that they didn't want to happen. But it did. It did happen. There was a time where I don't even know. There was a guy. Let's just say there was a young guy who released this tool.
Okay, I think we can say this guy's name if you want to. I think we're talking about the same guy.
Oh, I don't care. I don't want to say his name.
Okay.
I don't care. I don't care to say his name because I don't want to like draw it. I don't want the person to get attention. Like
Well,
And
all right.
I don't know if this person even goes by the same alias anymore online anyway.
It probably doesn't.
Probably doesn't. But they released a tool on these like hacker forums and that to the ability to get server files from the Epoch server files. So they got like a old version of these server files, and they were just released out there. And a bunch of people got them and started putting up these servers, and they were horrible, and broken. And it was just like the worst case scenario. So then AWOL had to, come out and issue a statement. But actually, the story is like prior to that happening, this guy had gone to AWOL and started trying to extort him for him to like release the server files or give them to this guy, and he refused.
What do you mean by extort him?
He basically started attacking the servers. He started attacking the whitelist servers.
He tried to blackmail him?
No, he like sent people in to the Epoch testing servers. He had a way to get into the servers. Like people join the server and start hacking, killing everybody on the server, getting everybody kicked, servers crashing, all just like mayhem, basically.
Okay.
Now, my memory is a little bit foggy on that. I tried to look some of this information up. Basically, the servers were being attacked and or DDoS. I don't know if the DDoS thing was happening. Again, this is just for context. Basically, they were causing a lot of mayhem. They were trying to get AWOL to release the server files. He really didn't want to do that, Like they offered up one of the exploits that they were using. Okay, they offered that up, and okay, this is one of the exploits. Now give us the server files. And AWOL's like, no, I don't want to do that. He wanted to stick to his vision. He wanted to have it be out when it's ready. Right. Now, in retrospect, I bet AWOL would have preferred to just keep the alpha test. Like, I haven't really asked him this, but I imagine he would have rather kept it really small. It ended up being like over 5,000 people were like whitelisted to play on these servers. It was like it got way out of hand.
It's kind of insane, actually. Yeah,
it's a lot
for a mod. Yeah,
for a mod. Yeah, it was crazy attention. And then so now he didn't relent to it. So then there's a bunch of these shitty servers popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I find out, and I don't know the timeline on all this stuff, but I find out that same guy that was doing that to AWOL, he was helping the Battle Royale mod with their like anti-cheat. I couldn't find the tweet. There was a tweet from way back when. So this guy, is announced that like he's going to be doing the anti-cheat for them. But I think he was doing it prior to all this drama happening. Yeah. So once I learned about that, I was like, that motherfucker. I can't believe this. And the whole thing is like AWOL. I introduced AWOL to the creator of Battle Royale mod. I introduced those two. And now I don't get any credit for that. I just introduced him because I was like conversing with him, and he was having issue at the very beginning in like 2013, whenever he started working on Battle Royale mod. I don't know who else was helping him at that point. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I introduced those two, and AWOL kind of helped him and was actually credited in some of that, like the original mod. It doesn't matter. He did,
he was there and he was helping out.
He was there and he was helping out. Yep, that's it. And so I got super butthurt. I got super angry, and I was like, fuck Battle Royale and fuck this guy, basically. And it was the hacker, not player unknown.
Right. No, I get it.
I've actually only had good experiences with him personally, but I don't know him that well. Anyway, so I was on a mission to tell everybody I knew that, hey, this situation happened, which is so convoluted. Imagine me explaining that whole story I just said without like the context and like, because it was happening at that time. So I didn't need to explain like the history of it. But yeah, imagine me pulling Valid into a TeamSpeak, and then trying to explain to him like all this stuff that happened to AWOL. And like I basically was like telling you should not be playing this. You should be boycotting it, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
is that pretty much how it went down to your
To my recollection, I mean, I'll run through the whole thing from start to finish, but essentially that's kind of how it went down. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for one, I'm sorry that I did that. That was, I mean, it was. Let me just. I'll just go through this and I'll let you respond. I just want to give like the reasons why I'm sorry. I think it was out of line because, well, for one, like you didn't even have. You're just playing the game. You enjoyed it. I didn't take into account the fact that you're not as invested in this stuff as I am. I was obviously very personally invested in the modding community, in Epoch mod in general. I wanted to be. I really thought that my influence on people was bigger than what it was, and I thought that I could make a difference and like get people to. And that was just so like
don't say egotistical. I mean, you knew that you had influence. It's okay to say that. Don't,
Yeah, no, and I think it was just wrong, and I think that I should have, if I really wanted to influence people, I should have put the facts out there in a way and actually even given Player Unknown an opportunity to respond, which I never did. And I never mentioned it. The only time I ever really spoke about that, I never spoke about it externally. Like I never tweeted about it. I've hinted about it on my stream, but I never really felt after that interaction with you, other than people I was super close with and talking to AWOL on the team, it was never really brought up again. So
right,
how poorly our interaction went actually got me to stop. I was like, this was a bad idea.
Well,
I was like, this is a bad idea. And by the way, none of the guys in Epoch told me to do that. I did it because I thought I was protecting my friend. And I felt like he was really wronged. And I don't know if he really even, like, he was going through a lot of stuff. I mean, he was working like a full-time job on top of creating this mod for like, who knows? Like, I don't even know how he lived. Like, I think he was just barely sleeping. It's crazy.
Jeez.
I mean, him and, and Sequisha was involved during that time too. I mean, they were making a serious push to, participate in the Make Armor Not War contest when that was announced. So this was after the whole drama thing. The next year, right?
I forgot Sequisha like did that. I remember he made the shark for Epoch.
Oh yeah, I mean he made so many of the assets going back to Arma 2. Like really the time when the mod really hit its stride was when Sequisha came onto the team in, whenever it was, like 2012, late. Everything was all condensed in that time period. And he just cranked out so many assets when the base building and stuff was really the thing. So
he's such a great content creator and a great guy on top of that. I think his stream is very enjoyable. I've always had good interactions with Sequisha. Like he's just, I mean, top tier, man. Like you can't ask for a better guy. I mean, geez.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but let's get back to our beef. Like, can we?
Okay.
Can we just like? I want to just like stop talking and just let you give me like how you felt and whatever else you want to say.
All right. Yeah, no, we can clear the air on that. So here's the thing I didn't know. I don't know if you realized this at the time, but the hacker, as we'll call him, at the time released a new mod of Arma 3, and it was like kind of a weird version of Battle Royale in that it was a very small located sort of
Ghost Hotel.
Yeah, Ghost Hotel, exactly. So it was this tiny version of the game, and it was buggy as all hell, and it was sort of annoying, to be honest with you. Like, I could play it for maybe like 2 hours, and then I would just be like, you know what, screw this. Like, I just don't want to play it anymore. And today I was like whitelisted for pretty much every version of DayZ that existed. I can go in any server, and I can do the spectate thing and all that. Player Unknown and I at the time were talking pretty frequently, and like he and the dev team targeted me to test it. So that's what I was doing. I was testing it. I would spend time on a separate account just watching the game. I would spend time on my main account streaming the game. And I was just seeing what was wrong, what was okay, what I would change, and like providing feedback, just your basic tester. That happened for about, I don't know, about 2 weeks or so. And then the whole thing with the hacker finally came to light. And it wasn't just you, Dan. I want you to know that too. And at the time,
really?
No, it wasn't just you. At the time, I wasn't mad at anybody. Okay. I had no dog in the hunt whatsoever. All I was doing was trying out a game. That's all I was doing. And like trying to provide feedback. I had no involvement with anything beyond that at all. And there were more than one people who were upset with me because I was involved in that. And that's because I know the Epoch team. I mean, they know me. We've been playing together for God knows how long. I'm whitelisted over there too. So, I mean, if you're in the basic Arma 3 community or Arma 2 community, you pretty much all know each other. Anyway, so this all goes down and I talked to Player Unknown about it. And I'm like, hey, Player, I talked to my friend and, I didn't mention your name, but I was just like, in my head, I'm like, I talked to Dan. He told me that this guy stole something from the dev team. Why do you have him on your team? Like, why is he there? Like, if you know for a fact that he stole, why is he there? And his response to me was basically, okay, if I know this guy can steal from me, but I can pay him to help me keep my stuff secure, why wouldn't I do that? And while I have like a questionable moral opinion about all that, I can sort of understand where he's coming from. All right, it's kind of like, you ever seen that movie Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy steals and steals and steals and steals, but he knows how to steal. So therefore, if we get him to turn around, he can figure out how to stop stealing.
Yeah.
That's kind of the basic bottom line of what he was trying to say to me. And again, I was in the fence. The only thing I was doing at the time was playing the game. And you and I had that conversation and I could tell you were upset with me. And because I didn't really commit one way or the other. I was just sort of like,
you were caught in the middle, bro.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I just like, I don't know what do I do with my hands, like.
Well, let me tell you something that I remember, and you can dispute it or you can say like what you think about this. When I said that you shouldn't, like, you basically were telling me that you didn't want to stop playing Battle Royale. And this isn't all that you said, by the way. This is just the thing that stuck out. It's like you said that you didn't want to stop playing because, well, that's all I play on my stream. This is what my viewers come to watch. And by the way, now thinking back on it, I took it way the wrong way. That when you said it, I thought you were saying like, I don't care. And whatever you just said, I didn't even listen, is what I thought at the time. But now, I obviously have a different perspective on it now. I've been like holding this grudge.
I don't even understand why it's a grudge, to be honest. But
it wasn't really. It just faded away over time, and I just never really thought about it. Occasionally, it would come back and like, holy shit, I should probably like say something to him about this. But it would just like nobody really cared after a certain amount of time. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? Was there any part of that you remember?
You mean like the aftermath?
Well, just like the fact that was like the one game that you played on your stream, and really like that was kind of just the reason. Like you just wanted to just play the damn game. You didn't really want the drama. Is that true?
Well, the thing is with, especially with Arma 3 BR, is like that wasn't the only tiny piece of drama that I got dragged into, and it I mean, it happened over and over and over again, and it was just like, okay, you guys understand, I'm just trying to play this game. Like, I'm not a developer. I don't write code. Like,
just because you're playing it doesn't mean that you're like, you are the developer, and and you take on the baggage that comes along with it.
Well, there was a point at which I was asked to become an admin, but I politely declined because I saw it as well, I saw it as a conflict of interest. Like I didn't want to be an admin and stream the game at the same time. Didn't
because when you're is this true? Like when you're streaming it, and let's say you have like other friends who are also streamers, and then you could like act on their behalf or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It was that part of it.
That was definitely part of it. Like I would always tell people, like, if I saw something fishy, no problem. I'll talk to the devs. I'll report it. I'll show them the VOD. Like, trust me, if I find someone's like messing around, they're going to get banned. It's that simple. But like, do I want the responsibility of people knowing that I'm an admin in every game that I play? No, I really don't want that. Like, I just, why? I mean, I'm trying to play. I'm not trying to police the entire server, and people already know when they're doing dumb stuff in the first place. So
Right.
like, why? It just didn't make any sense to me. But
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
like I apologize too, by the way, for that whole thing. I should have tried to be like, I should have tried to be more vocal with you and explain to you what was going on, because like I didn't mean for anyone to get upset about the whole situation. And the fact was, the mod was freaking terrible. Like, there was like, I think everyone played it for like 2 weeks and that was it, And so why lose whom I consider a friend over something like that? Like, I mean,
and to be fair, like, I don't think that I was being very diplomatic about the situation. I was like giving you an ultimatum, essentially. There was no other option. I thought that I really thought that if I just laid out the facts as I knew them, that there was no way you're going to disagree with me. And I was so surprised when your reaction to it was essentially, to me, 2014 me, mind you, was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm out of here. I just want to play the game. Is what I thought. Is that so stupid?
Maybe I came off a little bit strong. Like, I do have
I didn't know you, man. I didn't know you. We played games together and we joked around, and then all of a sudden, the one time when we have a one-on-one conversation, it's me trying to be your dad or something,
I already got one of those, but yeah.
No, not like that. I just meant, I was like trying to like scold you for playing, you know what I mean? Like, I was trying to I was basically trying to I don't even know what the word is for it. I was just trying to like browbeat you, as the word used earlier, into doing what I wanted you to do. So it's just like
essentially what you wanted me to do was stop playing the game. That's what you wanted me to do.
I wanted you to boycott it.
Yeah.
And I've kept this inside for so long, and I really like. I'd never really let myself. I never knew how the conversation would go, and really what deflated my tension about all of this was AWOL and how he handled the situation. I really did kind of let him take the lead on it eventually, and like at least for my own, like, me taking a cue of like what I should do, because I was never a person of any sort of standing when it came to representing them, other than just really educating people on the mod and like getting the word out and stuff like that, because I really believed in what he was doing, still do. He's a brilliant guy. Yeah, I mean, I just realized how silly it was. I think I told like Sequisha and him what I was doing, and they're like, well, no. They're literally like, no. Like, that's not a good way to go. Like, it's like he made a statement on the forums and he left it at that, and people would bring it up from time to time, and he tried to be as civil as he could be, but he had so much on his plate. He definitely didn't need to invite any more drama, and like, oh, the Epoch team is boycotting is getting people to boycott Battle Royale. That's a bad look. Like, what?
That is kind of a bad look, like, when you really
think about it that way. Oh my god. I mean, in reality, like, AWOL is the type of guy, and I became the type of guy that just rooted for all developers, as long as there wasn't any. I still maintain that whole situation with the hacker and the leaking of the server files. That was super scummy. I
Oh, it
mean,
was terrible.
nobody deserves that. But when it comes to people's success in mods or games, as long as nobody's getting hurt, and like, you gotta like root for them. And I had to learn that over time. I had to learn to not be so territorial, or be so tribal about like this versus that. I never really was tribal when it came to things, but I was so protective of those guys too. I think that's just my nature though. Like when I make friends with people, I'm fucking like so protective, like don't fuck with my friends basically.
Yeah, you're there for them. That's what friends are for. I
I've
totally understand.
I've definitely softened in more ways than one over time, but like, yeah, don't fuck with my friends basically.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I
well,
get it.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that we're able to kind of talk about this in detail, aren't you? Like, it's not like a big relief because it's been so long, but it's like interesting to go back to that 5 years
No,
ago.
I mean, it was a stupid fight, and we both obviously made mistakes. And the fact is that you and I really had nothing to do with it other than we were there at the time. Like, so it's
Yeah.
like,
It felt like it was so real.
yeah.
I felt like it was like life and death. Not really, but
I
um
mean, it was important to both of us. I mean,
yeah.
for other reasons, but at the same time, it's like it's good that we can just talk about it now and kind of clear the air.
Hmm.
To be honest, we should have done this years ago.
Yeah, I know. I
But
know. And actually it tells me what type of person you are, that you went from that conversation and you went and you talked to player unknown about it. I didn't know anything about that until now.
yeah, well,
But I
because
mean that, yeah.
I just wanted to hear what he had to say about it. I wanted to
Hmm.
make sure that what you were telling me was true, first of all. Second of all, I wanted to get his
Yeah.
perspective on it because honestly, it's his mod. So he can kind of do whatever the hell he wants with it. But like I said before, I don't agree with what he did at all. But I
Mm,
agree with like his mentality for
mm.
doing what he did.
Yeah, I
And
got you. I got you.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's those were his decisions to make. He always had this he always had like a vision for like how he wanted these mods to be perceived. He wanted to be this thing like really early on. I think he realized how powerful content creation was, and increasingly is, right?
yeah,
Talking about like back in Arma 2, prior to Battle Royale coming out, you got to give props to Survivor games being
oh yeah,
the first like big scale last man standing event. Okay. Now,
Survivor Games was huge back then.
yeah, so the biggest viewership on Twitch to date at that time proved that type of gameplay could draw big numbers. Battle Royale was just and is just this automated game mode that just like there's a lot of tension that builds, and there's only one person that wins at the end. I mean,
Yeah,
it's been done to death all over the course of time, but he's been really player unknown's been really smart about engaging with streamers and content creators to make it their own and make it a thing that really drove a lot of people to success.
absolutely.
um and for you, it gave you something to latch onto. When what else would you have been playing? Would you still have been streaming had it been not for Battle Royale?
I probably would not have been streaming nearly as much, nearly as often. Battle Royale definitely sort of solidified the idea of doing a consistent stream.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to get a lot of help along the way too that
Mm.
pushed me towards that particular game. I mean, I probably would have streamed other games too. I did. I streamed Dota 2 every now and then. I'd stream a horror game or some kind of turn-based game. Was there anything that was ever going to replace Arma 3 Battle Royale? Probably not. I mean,
Mm.
that's where I built my whole
It's
core,
audience
yeah,
and
audience,
yeah,
fan base, whatever you want to call it, friendships. I mean, I made so many friends off Twitch. Like,
yeah.
it's absolutely insane. Arma 3, it kind of made my stream what it was. So
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to replace something like that because you don't, I bet at the time you weren't even thinking, you didn't have like the forethought of, "Oh, what happens when this goes away?"
no, I honestly didn't. I was sort of dreading it, to be honest. Like
Hmm.
when the game started to sort of die, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, what the heck do I stream? I tried a couple of other games. I don't, when I stream, I don't really pay attention to the metrics that are going on as I'm streaming. I look at it after the fact because I don't want it to affect, my interaction with chat.
Hmm.
What I really pay attention to is my interaction with chat. But when I look at my metrics after the fact, I'm like, okay, that game is not good, or this day is not good. Like back when I was going 5-6 days a week, I would always look at Tuesdays like metrics and be like, why the hell am I streaming on Tuesdays? Nobody's online on Tuesdays. And like it
Hmm.
was just no more Tuesday streams. That's my day off.
What was there a point where you thought, okay, maybe I can make a push for partnership, which was a thing back then, or was like, what was the end goal for you, like at the high point?
When I started, I made it a point to not monetize my stream in any way, shape, or form. I didn't allow any donations. I didn't allow any sort of compensation from anyone. I did that. I streamed that way for basically a year. I don't know if that had any effect on the end result. It definitely changed the way people interacted with me, and that I had a lot of people asking me, why do you not allow donations?
Right.
Why
So,
can't I donate? Why can't I donate? And it was just like, it wasn't something at the time that was at all important to me. What was important to me was having fun and hopefully putting on a decent show, essentially, sort of making new friends and putting myself out there. After about a year and after enough, again, let's use the phrase browbeating, I
encourage, we'll call it encouragement, because
encouragement. Yeah, there you go.
this is something like people, I feel like people wanted to, they've been loyal followers, followers. That even sounds bad, doesn't it? Like followers can be taken many ways. On Twitch, a follower is someone who clicks a little button and they pretty much will, check you out when you're live, and they're just like fans. Your fans wanted another way to, support you. And to
Yeah.
that point, you didn't want to monetize the stream because there was some sort of integrity there that you didn't want breached or something. Like what,
It was more about at the time, I didn't feel like the quality of the stream was worth any sort of
oh, okay.
compensation. Like I was trying to work towards a place where like I would be comfortable accepting money for doing something that I was already
Interesting.
enjoying.
Did you
And
ever model yourself after anybody else, or was that just like something like, I guess you're when you first started on Twitch, it was because people just really wanted that people, it happened a lot back then, by the way. People were just like, they wanted to check out all these different people's, like everyone was encouraging everyone to stream back then. And some chats were more vocal about it than others. So,
I wouldn't say that I modeled it after anyone.
hmm.
I mean, I definitely had influences, like a lot of the blacklisters, for example. And then I watched a bunch of the big name streamers, and eventually I got the opportunity to play with a bunch of them. But no, I mean, it was just like my comfort level. I wanted
Okay.
to be able to not make it at all about money and just
Hmm.
play, and
Did,
just
did
have
you
fun.
did you were you like trying to put yourself in that position where you're thinking like, boy, if somebody did donate, that would make me uncomfortable?
Kind of, yeah.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
but
Okay.
I did it for a year, and enough people kind of asked me and asked me and asked me, and finally one day I was just like, you know what? Let's just do it.
Even putting the donate button up there was a process for you.
Oh yeah, no, it took me an entire day to like decide to do it, and then I had a friend of mine make the donate button that's still on my
It's
tab
still
today.
there
Yeah, it's
today.
still there.
Okay. Yeah.
I had him put it or give me the copy of it so I could put it up.
Hmm.
I remember very clearly I launched that stream, and it happened to be like a night where I was kind of running hot, like I had a lot of people. And I told the Chad, what I said was, hey, there's something new about the stream today, just so you know. You're going to have to figure it out, but there's something new about the stream. And within about literally 30 seconds, Arky found it, and he threw $100 at me.
No way.
Yeah, within literally 30 seconds, he threw $100 at me. And then I think Grant found it and threw like 50 at me. And like, it was just...
How did that feel?
It felt, and honestly, like, it felt good, but also at the same time, slightly uncomfortable. Like, but I mean, to be honest, at that point, I'd worked pretty hard to get there. So, you know, I mean,
you felt did you feel like you deserved it, but you were just like, wait a minute, I didn't expect this much?
That's exactly right. Like, I mean, I'd worked a certain amount, and I, you know, put a lot of effort into it, but the response that I got the first day, by the end of the day, I mean, I got literally over $1,000, and it was like, okay,
whoa,
like,
dude.
Yeah, I mean, I did not expect that at all. But that sort of response from that point on made it a lot easier, you know, because it sort of told me that people were digging what I'm doing and they're enjoying what they're seeing. So why should I be uncomfortable about it? I mean,
yeah, sure, man. Yeah, people did a great job of letting you know it's okay to allow people to show their support. You know, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're showing their support just by being there. You know, this is just another way for them to, because you think about it, we didn't know this at the time, but Twitch and YouTube and other streaming formats started to replace people's normal viewing habits. People used to watch just like TV, and then it was Netflix, but Twitch kind of nudged in there,
Yeah, it sort of took over.
Elbowed their way in there, and people with those interests, video games, other things now on Twitch, it started replacing people's viewing habits. So people are like, I don't know, like, how can I show, like, I appreciate that I have this basically free content. I want to show love to the creator. And you were that person for these guys and gals who were watching your stream. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's just a natural thing, but you didn't know, you probably thought, well, you kind of had this kind of chip on your shoulder. Like, I don't deserve it. I'm not sure like when. It's like, nobody's going to tell you when to do things. You kind of have to take that on yourself, and like, people will give you the encouragement to do it, but you had to make that decision for yourself. And then eventually when you did, it was just, I guess, I'm sure super encouraging, like, and just like a kind of a weight off your chest a little bit. Like, damn, this was the right thing to do. I'm sure it felt great.
Yeah, no, it absolutely floored me. That first night especially floored me, and then like the follow up to it was a kind of impressive. And afterwards, like literally right when I did that, I think the next like week, I got a couple of really big bombs from some bigger streamers, and my viewership totals went way up. And at that point, as you mentioned earlier, like, did I start to think about, hey, maybe I can make this my actual job? Yeah, of course I did. I mean, who doesn't want to play video games for a living?
Exactly. Yeah.
I had the numbers to get partnership, but I got denied twice. And it was like, okay, I don't, I mean, it was because I was relatively new. I mean, I went from 0 to 100 real fast, you know, and so.
Did you ever get feedback on specifically why? Did you ever talk to any admins, say, hey, you know?
I did actually, and it was because my concurrent viewer count overall from start to finish was too low.
Because it spiked in the overall, yeah. If you look at like the Social Blade, it's like it's a hill and then a plateau, and then, you know, like the stuff below the hill is like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, because I was experimenting at the time, you know, like I wouldn't always play Arma 3. Like I said before, I would play Dota 2 or I would play some kind of horror game. And so then the only people that would be there still would be the,
your core audience that you started out with.
Exactly. So I wouldn't get the base audience for Arma 3, which kind of boosted my numbers like crazy. I mean, at the time, I got bombs from people like Silent Sentry. I don't know if you know who that is.
Of course, yeah.
I had got bombs from Miss Vixen. I got bombs from Shorty Guy. I got bombs from Bragoon. It was just like this.
A who's who of the creators from that time, for sure.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like there was a lot of like really talented people that were paying attention to what I was doing and trying to help me. And totally grateful for that. Like Silent Sentry, also known, his name's Ethan, if you didn't know. He's like just such a good guy. Like, Miss Vixen, Bragoon, they're all good people. And the thing that I always tried to focus on when that sort of thing would happen would be to just sort of keep the conversation flowing. And I always felt if I kept the conversation flowing, I would be able to keep them. Sometimes you get a bomb, it's 200 people, suddenly you turn around and there's only 20. But if you can engage them, they'll stay. There's a reason that streamer brought you to them in the first place, or them to you. If you can just keep your flow going and talk, you might be able to keep them. Anyway, so I tried 2 times to get partnered. Yeah, it didn't happen. I got shut down both times. And at that point I was like, well, I'll stop. I mean, I know I can make money doing it. I'm going to stop trying to get partnered. I kept streaming. It was just like, maybe I'll just let my numbers kind of grow and then I'll try again.
Did you ever have like push for partner? Or were you ever doing any of that? Is that how it kind of encouraged people to show that support, or what was it like?
No, it was more like people would just say like, why can't I subscribe? Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And then after
I got you.
Yeah. You
would just build up a rapport with these other streamers, or sometimes it happens randomly. Back then people would like do it with a raid. Like now it's automated where people can just raid a channel. But back then it was literally like spam the link in the chat and people actually have to engage with it, click on it and go
exactly.
there. Like how many of them, obviously you knew a few of those streamers, but did you know like all the people that were coming by? Like, did you know, were you friendly with all of them?
No, not at all. Actually,
no, okay. Just happenstance sometimes.
Well, I'll tell you a story. I was streaming one night and everything was fine, and I end up in this 1v1 game versus Silent Sentry. It's one of my highlights. I figured out where he was, and we had this like fight. There's a little gunfight. Neither of us kill each other, and I ended up killing him with a grenade. I saw him like moving off to the right. I predicted where he was going to be, threw the grenade. It was a sick play. Like just
not easy to do in Arma 3, by the way. Not easy to do.
Not easy at all.
Easy. No.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite highlights just because of how hard it is. But anyway, so I killed him, and my chat like blows up, and they're like, "You just killed Silent Sentry." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, who the hell is Silent Sentry? I had no idea who he was,
Yeah.
So he was just finishing up, and his chat told him that I was streaming. And, one of my things when I finish a game, especially if I win, I always go GG. That's the polite thing to say. You don't like rub it in their face or anything. Good game. You know, move on, shake hands, let's go. So I said GG, and he decided to bomb me after that, and that brought in about, I don't know, I want to say about 500 people into my stream. And it's like, wow, okay. So what do you do when now suddenly you've got 500 people in your stream?
You don't really prepare yourself for it, especially not.
I don't think you can. Like,
no.
Anyways, yeah, but a lot of that sort of stuff happened just naturally. I mean, I didn't plan it. There's no way you can, On the other side of that plateau, there were times, and I would do bombs for other streamers. Obviously, you want to move it on down the line. Yeah, just make that connection. I would usually go for a blacklister, but if I couldn't find a blacklister, I would usually choose like someone playing the same game that was hopefully, just North American. I wanted to keep it North American. No, reason other than
just English speaking audience,
yeah,
English
exactly.
speaking stream so that you can interact. Yeah, it's a big
deal.
Right,
And anyway, so I picked this one random kid out and I bomb him. And I bring, I don't know, probably about 40 or 50 people in. And his reaction was basically, oh, you think you're so cool, you can bomb me with 50 people. Screw you. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, what? No, I mean, my chat went nuts too. They were just like, what the hell's wrong with this kid? And I'm like, you know what, guys? Just don't go there. Let's just leave. It's not a big deal. Let's not make a big deal out of this. Let's just leave.
That's a dangerous situation.
I just couldn't believe that he did it. It was like, dude, like, are you serious?
And Twitch's TOS on raids back then was a little gray area because you were technically like responsible for people in your chat. So if you were to go, I think there were some instances where people would go and raid and send people into someone's chat, and they would be like spamming crazy stuff, and then the person's like, wait a minute, where did this come from? And yeah, there's been some drama about that back in the day.
Yeah.
Since then, not really, but yeah, I mean, in that situation, it could have, if you would have been like
reported.
Well, yeah, it could have been a situation where you incited a little bit of you could have just basically just been you could have like trolled the guy to death or something, like
yeah. If I was like purposefully trying to screw with his channel,
but
all I was trying to do was I was trying to move on,
to help him out, but
that's what pissed me off. It was like, dude, that was the only time that ever happened too.
Fair enough. That's a pretty rare situation.
I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, dude, like, you have 3 people in here. I just brought you 50 and you're going to bitch at me. Like, are you serious?
No. Some people just can't be helped. That's too bad.
It really is too bad.
Were you like pretty discouraged after the whole kind of push for partnership was kind of a letdown, and like what was the time period after that? Well, are we talking about kind of the middle to end of Arma 3 Battle Royale at this point, or is this still?
Push for partnership was probably around the middle, but it wasn't that far off. Arma 3 BR didn't last for very long, to be honest. But yeah, go on.
So there had to have been a transition between that, and I'm assuming you played, PUBG when that was ready, but that wasn't for a couple of years. Wasn't that like 2016 or something?
Yeah.
What was that time period like? And when, if ever, was your like motivation to stream diminished between that time, or were you still kind of in it for the community aspect of it and just enjoying yourself?
Arma 3 was kind of on the decline. Like, it would take me 20 to 30 minutes to fill a full stream or full game, despite the fact that I was streaming. And that was really discouraging. The reason I kind of stopped pursuing it was more personal. A few things happened to me in my life, sort of in a very quick period. I ended a relationship. I decided to move from Arizona to California. And I did have plans to pick it back up once I got out here, and I did try to. And I tried to play a couple of different games. I tried Counter-Strike. I was okay. It was not like great. I tried Dota 2, but the thing about Dota 2 is it's super complicated. So like the average viewer is not going to know what the hell's going on.
It's pure gameplay.
Yeah.
And there's little context and little room for interaction when you have to focus.
Exactly. Like, I can't explain to people what's going on in the game while I'm playing the game.
Unless they're like freaking, unless they're like Artosis. You've seen Artosis play StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
People like that are like nothing when he plays Counter-Strike. He can like give you a play-by-play of what he's going to do and what's happening. And that's almost like annoying to some viewers too. But it's pretty impressive that they can do that, They can just like stream of consciousness, just like spit out all the things that are going to happen and what they're doing as they're happening.
Well, it's because they have it like naturally just sort of in their head. They already know
Yeah.
what they're
They're
going to do, so they don't have to really focus on it. They can focus
Oh,
on
absolutely.
speaking, and it's, I
It's different. It's a different type of skill, yeah. And that's not the norm, by the way, for those types of games.
no, god damn it.
Those are just two major outliers I could think of, people who take these games of like pure like focus and skill and like turn it into like this narrated live experience, which is odd. It's just odd but kind of cool at the same time.
Well, for me, it's impossible because people were talking to me. Like, I was streaming Dota too, and they're like, I was playing one of the more simple heroes, and they're like, explain what's going on, Valid. And I'm like, I mean, I can tell you a little bit, but I kind of got to focus on playing the game because otherwise we're going to lose and everyone's going to get pissed at me. So,
Right. Your chat wasn't necessarily used to that type of, they're not used to that type of game. So they need to either be interested in the game was that a lesson? That must have been a lesson that you learned. Well, you learned it earlier when you were kind of switching off from Arma 3 and you saw it. Listen, it happens to everybody. There's a game that you're known for, and then there's the rest of it. And the rest of it, what you don't realize as a streamer is that each one of those games has their own community that want to watch it. So if you stick to it long enough, you might increase your viewership from other avenues, people that are looking for that type of thing. However, your core audience might also get upset that you're not playing the damn game that they came to watch,
Yeah.
Now, you'd like to think that everybody is altruistic and they only are there for you. However, as time goes on Twitch, there's more and more choice, more and more places they can go. It's not that they don't still like you, but you have to realize that like they have their own interests too, and they're not gonna like just switch up genres forever. Like they're not gonna. And the weird thing about games that like Dota 2, like to a certain extent, like World of Warcraft and like I don't know, like Arc Age, all these other MMOs. Maybe the lesser known MMOs do are a lot less successful for viewership because it's just people just aren't as invested in it. So it's like I don't want to, as a viewer, like I don't want to have the effort of like trying to learn what the hell I'm even watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either it's engaging or it isn't, and it's a weird formula. It could be like a great, like amazing looking action game like Overwatch, and well, at least at the time when it came out, but for whatever reason, like great game, viewership numbers depends on if you're a pro or not,
Right.
So if you became a Dota 2 pro, maybe you could like draw a bunch of viewers.
How much time it takes to become a Dota 2
exactly,
pro. Like,
man.
Oh my God.
It's the opportunity cost of like becoming a pro like esports person. Like if you're not like just you don't have those natural gifts to it's just like good luck. Good fucking luck. Yeah.
Actually,
anyway,
Dan, there was a question I wanted to ask you.
Yes, please.
Okay. Tell me about your experience with APB.
Oh, my experience with APB? APB was the first game that I ever streamed. And this is back in 2010. 2010, I streamed on Justin TV.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Well, I didn't really... The only reason why I put my stream up back then, and I was under the moniker Marine King Prime, which is a total ripoff of a StarCraft 2 player, because I was really into watching StarCraft 2. But that was my character name. Actually, it was MK Prime was my Justin TV / Twitch TV name.
That upsets me because we were on different servers, but go on.
So that the experience of like creating content on Justin TV was like non-existent. It was just like it's there to prove that I'm not cheating in the game. There was no like thought behind like chat interaction. It started to happen, and to varying degrees of effect, like I didn't understand the viewer broadcaster relationship, which I don't really refer to myself as a broadcaster, but in the context of this, I will.
Yeah.
The person streaming and the person viewing, I didn't understand that could become some sort of a persistent relationship to where you start to make friends. And one of the guys that watched my stream back then is somebody who I still talk to now. He just had a baby. It's like, my age, I've bridge generations of gamers to where I know people. I was older than them. Let's say I was like early 20s and they were like 16, 17, and now they're like full grown adults, and I'm still playing games, and they're still playing games to an extent, but it's like it's kind of odd, you know. That
Come
part
on,
of it's kind
Dan.
of
We'll be playing games until we're, pooping in our
I don't know.
beds.
I don't know. We can get. I've broached that topic before about like the reasons why I still play. It's mostly like the camaraderie of like being with people playing multiplayer. I don't do a lot of single player anymore. But getting back to APB, once people started to chat and stuff, I was like, damn, I feel kind of obligated to like respond. I didn't have two monitors. I had to get like a laptop
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. What did I even have? I had like a really crappy laptop, and then eventually I got like another monitor. I think I hooked up like a CRT as my second monitor or something. It was really an odd situation.
I mean, that's going way back. So whatever
Yeah.
works.
There was I was super competitive. I came from playing Counter-Strike into APB, and that was like the game that I focused on. And there was clans, but there was never really an established competitive scene.
You mean like, tournaments and whatnot?
No, there was actually clan leaderboards for a while. They took those away. You would get like monthly rewards if you were like tops, maybe even like daily rewards. You would get like tops if you got like highest KD kills, stuff like that. That was it was ill fated. That did not last very long. But I've been playing that game ever since like, it's been almost a decade. So I mean, but that was my first go at like live streaming. I had been making YouTube videos and stuff. Really, they weren't YouTube videos though. They were like just montage videos. Eventually ended up on YouTube, but
Yeah.
but they were just like stuff from my Counter-Strike clan. So it's weird coming from like a competitive game mindset to a platform like what Twitch became, where it's more of this like community thing, and it's strangers. Okay, it's not like people it's people who fucking don't know you, and they just show up, and it's odd their reaction to
Right.
you. I didn't have a webcam for probably like a year, or no, this wasn't until like late 2012 or early 2013. But yeah, I mean, my first go around on Twitch and Justin TV. Once I got like I got like pretty into some pretty deep drama in APB involving some people there, but it was very personal, and I really like even before that situation happened, I quit streaming because of APB and the community. I thought that the community was like super toxic, and I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't know of any other game that I would ever want to stream again.
It was incredibly toxic.
At the time, it was a big fucking deal. It was enough to make me. I thought I was done with APB forever. Really,
Yeah.
I thought I was done with Twitch forever.
Jesus,
But
man.
yeah, no, really, this is early 2012. This is before I created the channel that I have now, Orange Sherbet. But in the early spring and summer, a little thing called DayZ mod started to infiltrate
Well, there you go.
Twitch, and that's really kind of what brought me back, and specifically, wanting to promote and build this gaming community with some mutual friends at the time. So that's what got me the bridge from APB to DayZ mod and how you know me today. But those are two completely different worlds.
Oh yeah.
A lot of lessons learned, especially those first couple years.
Trust me, I had a bunch of drama happen to me in APB because it sounds like you and I were on different servers. So
were you on Colby or?
I was, yeah. I was on the West Coast server. I don't remember what it was called.
Colby and Joker. I was on Joker.
Okay.
I played both though.
I played both too. I played
primarily Joker.
Okay, yeah. I was primarily West. Because like how the game worked was you could be, an enforcer or a criminal basically, and most people split them up between the two servers, and
right.
my Colby was an enforcer, and actually we were the top tier clan on that server. Well, the reason I brought it up is because like one of my biggest regrets when it comes to gaming is that like when we were kind of dominating that entire server, and we were like, we had 2 crews that were just killing it. Like we were unstoppable and there was no one that could touch us. And unfortunately it kind of sort of came together right at the end of before APB got sold, you know?
Okay.
So player counts were starting to fall. We were starting to lose players from our squad. You know, people were sort of thinking, hey, let's move on to this. Let's move on to that.
You can't just plug players into a highly competitive clan. That's not the type of deal.
You absolutely can't. Like, you have to have the right people. And so it was starting to fall off. And I co-ran the clan with my friend, and we were both kind of at the same time like, all right, like, I think we're kind of done. And he's like, yeah, we're kind of done. And literally that day I got a message from this guy who represented EG Gaming, and he's like, hey, we'd like to sponsor you and your clan. And I'm like, well, okay, what does that involve? Like, what, you know, give me a little bit of detail. What are we getting? And he's like, well, basically we'll just give you game time and you can use our tag, you know, EG Gaming, blah, blah, blah.
This isn't Evil Geniuses, is it?
Yes, it is Evil Geniuses. Yeah.
Was this a scam or was it real?
No, it was real. I looked it up. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did you verify this?
I checked. He gave me a link, like his email and all that, and I looked him up, and it was real. It was absolutely real.
You were just promoting their brand.
Correct. Like there was no real top end competitive scene in the game. There was no tournaments or anything like that.
This was like speculative for them. They were like seeing if,
from their perspective, they were like, all right, let's pick the best clan that we can, and we'll just pay for the game time. That's what they offered us. We'll pay for your game time, because at the time you had to pay, I don't know, I think it was like $9.
Yeah, like, you're right. Oh yeah, I see that. Like, pay the monthly membership.
Yeah. But now you're a member of EG, and if I had done it,
seems like a shit deal. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a shit deal, because in retrospect, if I had done it to this day, I could still use the EG tag. I would be EG valid point. Like, I mean,
oh my God, lifetime tag up lifetime though, bro?
I mean, dude, like, think about that. EG, TSM.
Right, I mean, but they're like, what game did you play? APB? What's that?
Well, who gives a shit? Like, you've got the tag.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah, all right.
In retrospect, I was so upset at myself. I'm like, you idiot, just say yes and take a month from them. And now you've got EG for life, but I didn't do that.
EG for life, though? Did they say EG for life?
Well, I mean, I asked him, like, okay, like, we're not playing on a team or anything. Like, can I just use this? And they're like, yeah. You'll be an EG player.
I want that shit in writing, bro.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But I totally fucked that up. Man.
Man. That doesn't even seem right. I can't even believe that.
Well, it happens, man. Okay. It happens. Okay. And the real sad thing is I did it by myself. I should have talked to my partner, because my partner got so mad at me when he heard about it. He's like, what the fuck? And then this whole knockdown drag out fight.
Imagine if you were forced to play APB from now. Let's just take out the awkward part where like the game was sold and it didn't exist for like a year, but let's just say the game existed from now until then. Imagine being like forced to play APB for like 10 years straight. I'm pretty sure you'd be a different person.
I'd blow my freaking brains out. That's what I do. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I'd grab the closest shotgun. No, I mean, like, that game's fun and all, but like, yeah, I mean, honestly, any game 10 years in a row, jeez.
Yeah. Well, I played Counter-Strike for that long.
True, but like, you didn't like.
There's enough variation in a game like that to where, as long as you can continue to do it at a high level, it doesn't get old, because you have goals. We played in competitive leagues, you know. It was about getting ready for the next season and like the preparation aspect of it, right? And doing well by your teammates. and trying to make it to the playoffs and winning and everything, I was a support player. I wasn't I wasn't anything special, but you know what? I was an important part of the team because I did things right. I would play clutch situations well, and if I could make it that far anyway. And I was good at throwing nades and stuff like that.
Support players are the backbone of any team. Like you have to have your support players. So yeah.
Yeah, I was that guy. But yeah, I mean, we all have those little regrets. That's a funny, like that's not something I would have expected out of APB.
I know. I was
Interesting.
surprised too, but whatever.
I mean,
It
EG,
happened.
EG for a time was kind of a defunct organization too. They really didn't have teams consistently.
They've been a staple for a while, but around that
No,
time, I
I
think you're
know,
right.
but I mean, they've kind of had a resurgence lately. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much only follow Counter Strike, so everything else is like I don't really
Yeah.
follow a whole lot of other esports. We kind of covered a lot of your history on Twitch and like the friendships and some of these experiences. You had your high points, and then you had sort of this like plateau, and you had some disappointments. And really, and I'm wording in that way because I feel like you wanted like this Arma 3 battle royale thing to last longer than it did, right? I kind of did like a quick scroll through your Twitter, and it seems like there was some stuff that must have went down at a certain point because you see like the activity really like drop off, and I couldn't find any. I didn't see like a stream highlight. I wasn't around that at that time. I didn't really see like what went on. Like, can you go into any further detail about like really what happened in your life that like obviously you said that you ended a relationship, decided to move to California. There's like more to that story that you want to tell?
I mean, I yeah, we might as well go through it. I ended a relationship. I decided I was going to go back to my hometown. I kind of wanted to just get away from not necessarily Twitch, but just everything else. I at the time I was in school, and I dropped out, and I was like, I don't want to go back, and it was just more of like, how do I put it? It just kind of stopped being fun, and there was like no real reason for it. I mean, I'm sure there is a real reason for it, but I'm pretty sure it's more of a me reason. I mean, I've suffered from depression my entire life, and sometimes I get these highs and lows, and I think I just hit a low. So I stopped, and I just went to work. And right now, like for example, like I work on average probably around 50 hours a week, like, and that's sort of my life. And I would like to fully get back into Twitch to do sort of what I used to do, but that's going to take some time. And plus, I don't know if I told you this, but when I work 50 hours a week, I'm also engaged now. So
Oh,
yeah.
dude. Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I didn't know that.
Thank you.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Great. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to get married in the next year, and I'm actually planning on moving back to Phoenix because I want to be closer to my family. So I guess bottom line is I probably never should have come back to California, to be honest. It hasn't been bad, but it hasn't really gotten me anywhere. I'm not particularly a fan of what I see when I'm here. I mean, and
Okay.
yeah,
It's not your vibe.
It's really not. I mean, I'm a really chill guy, but like, I'd rather be in Phoenix, to be honest. Like, the people are
Gotcha.
just nicer,
Gotcha. Going to, from the time where you kind of had really ended streaming for a considerable amount of time, was it that you were kind of operating on this momentum and you had some setbacks, and it kind of put you in this like reflective state to where you're thinking about like what is worth my time, and like some of the joy gets sucked out of it by this little thing called depression, which by the way, like it is highs and lows. It's just life. That's what you experience, and it just sucks that I'm sorry that you go through that. It's just everyone's own unique way of dealing with shit. So was there kind of like a stop to that, a positive momentum, and just you're just like, I need to make a change?
Honestly, the stop to the positive momentum came the second I packed up my car and left Phoenix. I felt like sort of pushing towards partnership with Twitch. But when you end a relationship that's kind of a very long time, I dropped out of school. I was just like, you know what, I'm getting the hell out of here. I was just kind of
Mm,
done with everything.
yeah.
So it sort of brought that to a halt too. And when I came out to California, I gave it a couple of goes. I tried to get it back going. I tried to sort of pick up my pace. Yeah.
Mm.
And it just sort of,
But something was different.
well, it just didn't feel right,
Just
I
didn't feel right.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it was hard for me to be myself. And
Well, you changed, man. You changed you uprooted yourself and moved yourself not across the country, but you you definitely moved to a lot different environment, something that you thought was the right decision at the time, right? And you thought, well, I can maybe just pick up where I left off, but
yeah,
not exactly, not exactly.
at times I can be kind of arrogant. So I was at the time just like, well, I'll just move over there and just pick it right back up and everything will be cool. And it just wasn't. I mean, I could feel it while I was streaming, and you know, I don't want to waste anyone's time. Like if I can't do what I want to do, then why do it?
Hmm.
And so I
Dude,
sort of stopped.
I had no idea how much we had in common in that way. I've heard so many of these things that you've said, and I've thought those things myself. I've had those thought processes to where, and it's not about like metrics and stuff. It's just like, if I'm not into it, how is anybody else going to be into it? You know, like if
Right,
I'm not if I
exactly.
if I'm not enjoying myself, who the fuck is going to want to watch me just sit here and go through the motions? You know.
Well, the answer to that question is if they're gonna freaking troll you, just like curse
And
at you and
yeah,
whatnot.
double down on the pain, just troll me. Great.
How about we have a troll stream? Every time someone trolls me and I cry, I take a shot of
Uh,
whiskey.
how about this one? Here's a story. Actually, let me tell the story. Let's finish this because I think it's important.
Okay.
So there's a positive end to all of this because, well, you're engaged now and you have plans, and like, yeah, you're working 50 hours a week, but damn, having getting married in a year, that's something to fucking look forward to.
I guess the positive thing to take out of this is that even if you're depressed, you can always seek help, obviously. There are people out there that will help you, even if you have no friends or no family or anything. But I guess what I would take out of this is that if you sort of buckle down and do your thing and be who you are, and this sort of relates to streaming at the same time, if you do that, you're going to achieve your goal. Like, if you really decide to do it, you can do it. I mean, it's just that simple.
Hmm. Expectations are rough though, man.
Yeah, of course they are.
Expectations are rough on yourself and on the results. If you can remove those and just be, it doesn't take a whole lot to have what you would call success. Success being, I would consider, like, the way I feel coming back to streaming now is just like, people accept me. It is what it is, man. I am who I am, and it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel, I have good and bad days, everybody does, but
Yeah,
it feels different now. It feels better. It doesn't feel like I'm pushing towards some unachievable goal,
right.
which it just creates stress. It just feels like I'm doing what I want to do.
And if you create stress, you put pressure on yourself, and like pressure
Yeah.
will affect literally everything you do. And
Yeah.
you can't do that. Like, you
Unless you're
just
a good
can't.
actor, you can put on that happy face. I'm not one of
Uh,
those people. Can't do that.
no,
Can't do
especially
that.
when you're playing a really complicated game, for crying out loud. It's like,
Yeah.
no, just
It's not even that. It's just like, okay, if I'm going to come into this and I'm going to be looking at my viewer numbers and I'm going to decide how that affects like how I'm going to act. I've heard of there's a streamer that knew pretty well. And there was a famous time where he was watching him, and the dude wasn't getting a lot of donations and stuff that day. And he told his chat, he's like, "Oh, it's a slow day. I'm not getting much donations and subs, so I'm just going to shut it down." He basically just came out and just said that. It's like, damn,
Dude, like
that is cold
that is not
blooded.
how you do streaming. Like,
This is a guy who did primarily YouTube, but yeah, he's like, fuck this, I'm out.
wow. No, I
It's
mean, you can't look at it that way. You just can't.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're like one of the big streamers, and even then,
Yeah.
like, you never hear one of the big streamers go, "You guys aren't donating enough." Like, that's bullshit. Like, if you're one of those guys, nobody's gonna want to watch you. Like, you're making it
Yeah.
all about money, and this is
Yeah.
not about money. This is about having fun and creating communities. And like, this is stupid. Like, why would
Yeah.
you're not going to pay your bills doing this unless you're really good.
And to that end, I have a specific story that I mentioned earlier. And boy, I don't like the name drop. And this guy doesn't even exist online anymore. I'll tiptoe around it best I can. So this guy, he was like a real, and if you know who it is, you can just be like, aha. This was back in just Arma 2 days, still in Arma 2 days. He was like a real life like pilot. He was like a helicopter pilot. And he played Arma, and I actually played with him a couple times on my stream back then. And he's like real alpha male type, which is fine, but yeah, he was real tactical and really good at like just the
basic game mechanics. Yeah.
The mechanics, and he coming from a military background, he really had that like disciplined thought process. And a bigger streamer realized, found him and kind of befriended him a little bit, even did like a live stream where I think he was like on Skype. This is like back when it was like kind of weird to be doing this like mobile stream thing.
Yeah.
Somehow they had it kind of rigged up to where they could like, he like showed like where some of the helicopters that he had flown and stuff like that. And, he got a big viewer bump for a while because he was like pro pilot, like really good
at that
like,
level. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good, and he was good at the game too. Kind of an asshole to people sometimes, but it just kind of fed into the momentum that he had at the time. Well, he spent a ton of time over the summer streaming because he thought that his expectations were, well, this is going to be, I'm going to get partnered. This is going to be like a real legitimate, like, I'm going to basically going into business with Twitch. I'm going to be a full-time streamer. This is happening. And it didn't happen for him. He had a viewer bump for a while, but it was a cross-pollination thing. People were coming from the bigger streamer to him, but really they weren't his viewers to begin with.
Right.
And he didn't grow enough on his own. And this is where the story gets strange. So he started freaking out. He started really freaking out when his numbers went down. And he, one night, he just like completely cracked. And I think his chat was like quiet. And he's like, you guys don't want to, I don't know what he said exactly. He said something to the extent of like, you guys don't want to watch me? F it. You guys can just, here, take this, basically. He had his webcam on, and you could see like the RGB stuff from his case. He turned on this like basically white noise / like screeching like feedback from his mic, and he just left his stream on like that.
Okay.
It was just the weirdest temper tantrum, like, and I like contacted one of the people that was adjacent to the bigger streamer because I knew them, and I was like, hey, this guy's freaking out over here. Is there a way you can do something? Can you do something here? Like, can you get a hold of him or whatever? And didn't really, and they were just like, oh, I've seen people act like this before. I don't really, you kind of just have to let them calm down or whatever. But I don't know. The guy basically just kind of disappeared after a few, like, he actually came back and like streamed a little bit. He reformed, he like tried to give another go, and then it was like, oh, it was just like a very,
like, he had his momentum and then it was gone.
It was gone, and he just basically disappeared. But I've never seen someone act so like violently to like them failing.
Yeah, that's a rough one. Yeah,
that's a tough one.
The one that I remember from like that sort of era is like, and this is another thing that I got kind of dragged into. I like get online one day, and one of my Steam friends is like, Valid, we need to talk, da, 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 da. I'm like, all right, what's up? We jump into chat. Ended up being TeamSpeak for Battle Royale. And they're like, hey, there's this streamer, and we're pretty sure that he's cheating.
Okay.
Here's his, this is the guy, and he ended up being one of my mods already. Like, I knew who he was. And they're like, we want to know what you think. We want to know what you think. And I'm like, okay, I'll watch whatever you want me to watch, So I watched it. They were totally right. Like, I mean, it was pretty clear that he was doing something that he shouldn't have been doing. Like, I don't know which hack he was using, but like, he was landing shots like crazy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm literally in TeamSpeak with like, call it like 10 or 12 of the top, area for that particular game at the time. And everyone's saying it's bullshit, and
it's bullshit like it's true, or it's bullshit like he's cheating?
Like he's cheating.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone's in agreement. Okay.
Everyone in TeamSpeak was like, this is bullshit. And he got temporarily banned for a little bit, and I removed him as one of my mods. And this fight went on for like weeks, to the point where like he decided he was going to put a camera behind him so you could see his monitor. And, it was kind of funny because his win percentage went way down when that happened.
Of course.
Yeah. And like he had actually killed me in a couple of big games, like really big games. And I was like, I didn't think he would have done it to begin with, but in the end, it was pretty clear that he did it. And when that many people who know the game are saying you're full of it, you're probably full of it,
Huh. So what's the end of that story? Like, what happened?
The end of that story is he got permanently banned.
Okay.
Yeah, both from, well, I don't think he got banned from Twitch, but he got banned from Arma 3.
Gotcha.
And plus
from the mod, or
No,
did he get global banned?
I think he got globally banned. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, nobody from that community interacts with him anymore. I don't even know if he streams. Like,
and nobody's gonna stick up for you in that situation.
Yeah.
Especially when you fucking lie about it,
It was what it was. Like he got caught, and
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. It's a different thing. Like, you would still probably get banned, but at least people might have a little bit of respect for you if you just like own up to it and say, yeah, I did it,
Right. And then you have the flip side of that coin. I'll tell you one more story, Dan. I know we're going kind of long here.
Go ahead.
I played this one game. His name's WebDork. I was playing a game against WebDork, and I dropped and I landed in Gurna. It was kind of my go-to drop. Like, it became my signature drop, to the point where eventually I had to stop going there because people kept coming to try to kill me. It was really annoying, actually. But anyway, so I dropped to Gurna. I gear up. I get into this fight, and this guy comes in. I hear him coming. He's on a boat, and he just happens to stop his boat right next to where I was. And I sniped him from about 5 feet away. And he lost it. He literally lost it. He started calling me a hacker. He was saying I came out of the rock. And this is a guy that's whitelisted, by the way. Like, he has spectate. So I blew him away, and he could watch me for the rest of the game. So for the rest of the game, he proceeded to watch me kill the shit out of everyone. Literally, I had like 6-7 kills that game. And like every time I killed someone, this guy's hacking. He's full of shit. Da, 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 da. He had no idea who I was. And it went on and on and on. And eventually I won the game. And then somebody finally told him, dude, he's streaming right now. Like, go look. And so he goes and like checks out my VOD. And then he apologized very profusely. He's like, just turns out you're pretty goddamn decent at the game. And I'm like, yeah.
We all have our moments like that, for sure.
I mean, I thought it was funny because I watched it back, and he was really angry about it the whole time. And I'm just like, dude, I just shot him. That's all. Like, come on.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
playing a game.
Yeah. I mean, things happen so fast in games like that what you perceived might not have been true. You got to like go check the tape, you know. If
Exactly.
you're like, I hit him, and then you go back and look, and your crosshair was off by just a little bit,
Right,
you
right.
know. Yeah,
You missed that
yeah,
shot. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
like,
yeah.
that's one of my favorite memories of streaming, actually. Just
That
getting
is funny.
berated by another streamer.
But there's a redemption aspect to it, and
Exactly. Yeah.
respect to him for, you know.
Oh no, he was really sad about it. He was really unhappy about it. Like we became friends after that.
Oh,
Actually,
that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I met his wife too. Actually, yeah,
Whoa.
yeah.
Okay.
Now they're good people. It was just kind of
It's just
messed up. Like,
one of those moments that like you get a little bit heated because of
yeah, you get
the
too
game.
salty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it happens.
everyone
Oh,
gets salty.
I never get salty. No way.
No, who gets salty?
So tell me a little bit about like what as we close things up here, like
Hmm.
what does the next year look like for you? Obviously, you're going to be getting married. Are you thinking about? You said you're thinking about kind of making a return to making content, you know, like streaming or whatever. Like, is that something you feel is missing from your life? Do you want to get back to it? Like, what do you want to do?
Oh, I definitely miss streaming. I definitely want to return to it. I definitely miss the community. I miss my friends. As far as the next year of my life goes, right now my focus is on moving back to Phoenix and getting married. I mean, those are the number one and two things that are going to happen in my life in the next year. And I would love to have coming back to streaming be number three in there, but it is number three. I mean, plus my fiance wants, and I do too. We want to hopefully make a little baby valid. So, and
Um,
yeah, that's
I
going to
don't
be
know
a
if the
nightmare.
world's ready for that,
The
bro.
world is not ready for it. I promise you, it's going to be a nightmare. I can't disappoint her, so that's going to be a thing. I don't know how soon that's going to happen exactly, but that's going to be a thing. But I do want to come back to streaming. I would like to sort of reassert myself into the blacklist and into Twitch in general. And it doesn't matter really what game it is. Like, I had a whole lot of fun doing it. I met a whole lot of really good people, like just amazing people. And I miss it. I really, really miss it. And it'd be good to reconnect with some of them.
Well, you can make a plan to come back when you're ready. I think that some of the people listening are probably looking forward to that return too. What would you want to say to like friends that maybe you've not kept in touch with as much, or maybe those that like just about like the history of what it is, and of like what those relationships were, and like what your community meant to you.
I would say that first of all, every one of you that I made my moderator and you stuck around and helped me out, thank you so incredibly much. You have no idea how much you mean to every single streamer. Like, you make our job so much easier. You really do, and we super duper appreciate it. You guys are awesome. As far as the ones that weren't mods, I miss you. I really do. I enjoy interacting with people, and I'm just kind of the guy that can talk to anyone. And I mean, just that interaction alone was so much fun. And I'm sorry that I don't get to have it anymore. I hope that we can do it again in the future. And I look forward to seeing you and spending time, hopefully pretty soon.
Okay. But, that'll be in the next chapter of your life,
Absolutely.
coming soon. So where can these people find you? Like, what's a good way to get in touch with you nowadays?
Probably the easiest way is to find me on Twitter. It's valid underscore point number one. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. You could DM me there. You can also email me at valid underscore point 22 at gmail.com, or you can just find me on Twitch. Sooner or later, you're going to run into me if you know who I am. Like,
Just keep refreshing the page.
yeah,
Eventually, he'll be live, guys.
yeah,
Come
just
on.
look for the guy with the purple name and who's making the dumb jokes.
Yeah. Hey, man, this was great. Kind of getting to know you a little bit. squashing the beef, which was just kind of like whatever.
It was silly beef, Dan. Don't worry about it. It was actually really great to meet you and really break it down with you.
Yeah, man. We'll chat again soon, okay? And maybe we'll play some games together here in the future.
Absolutely, bud. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, man. Music in this episode is from the artist Data Rebel. Additional mixing, editing, and mastering help from my friend, TipsyJack. Coming up on the podcast, more conversations as we pick up momentum in the new year. I might even get to the point where I can give you teasers for the next episode. I never want to promise anything, but I can tell you this, the next couple of guests, I'm very excited. So keep listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. All relevant links on our website, pod.co/emotive.